If you zoom out for a second, women's tennis heading into 2026 feels like it's sitting right on the edge of another shift. The stars at the top are still winning, still dominant, but the gap underneath them is thinner than it looks. We're at that point where one off-season, one tactical upgrade, or one healthy stretch can completely rewrite someone's career arc. So this isn't just a list of who's good right now. These are 10 players whose profiles suggest that 2026 could be a defining year, whether that means slam contention, a ranking leap, or a full-on breakout. Let's start at the top. Aryna Sabalenka is the clearest force of nature on the WTA right now. And the scary part is that her dominance still feels slightly unfinished. When she's serving well and emotionally steady from game to game, there's almost nothing subtle about what she does. She simply overwhelms opponents. The ball comes heavier, faster, and earlier than most players can handle, and that pressure compounds over the course of a match. What's changed over the last couple of seasons is that she's learned how to stay in control even when things wobble. The question for 2026 isn't whether Sabalenka can win big titles. It's whether she can reduce those short lapses that keep matches closer than they need to be. If she does, we might be looking at a stretch of dominance rather than isolated peaks. Coco Gauff feels like a player who's still climbing toward her true ceiling, which is a terrifying thought considering what she's already accomplished. What separates her from most of the tour is that she can win matches without playing especially well. Her movement and defense stretch opponents to the breaking point, and her backhand is already one of the most reliable weapons in the game under pressure. The next evolution for Gauff is about efficiency. If her serve continues to improve and her forehand patterns become more decisive, she won't need long, grinding matches to impose herself. In 2026, that could be the difference between being a consistent contender and becoming the player everyone is chasing. Iga Swiatek is less about moments and more about systems. She doesn't just win points, she builds them, repeating the same uncomfortable patterns until opponents start pressing and missing. Her heavy forehand, especially on clay, forces defensive positions that slowly collapse rallies in her favor. What's fascinating heading into 2026 is how much her success now depends on faster conditions. When courts stay low and points shorten, she has less margin, and that's where her development has quietly focused. If she keeps improving her serve variety and early ball striking, she becomes far harder to disrupt on grass and quicker hard courts. At that point, her game doesn't just dominate certain parts of the calendar, it threatens the entire season. Mira Andreeva already plays with the calm of someone far more experienced than she is, and that's usually the biggest tell of a future star. She doesn't rush points, she doesn't panic when rallies turn physical, and she's remarkably comfortable making adjustments mid-match. What stands out most is her balance. She can absorb pace and redirect just as confidently as she can step in and attack. For 2026, her progression is mostly about the grind. As the tour tests her physically over longer stretches, the serve and durability become crucial. If she holds up across full seasons, not just flashes, she's the type of player who could suddenly be showing up in the second week of slams as a regular rather than a surprise. Alex Ila is one of those players whose 2026 will be defined by transition rather than results alone. She's shown she belongs at this level in moments, but the challenge is translating that into week-to-week reliability. Her timing is clean, her court awareness is strong, and she plays with a noticeable lack of fear. All great signs. The adjustment now is learning how to win when nothing feels perfect, when travel stacks up, and when opponents stop underestimating her. If she finds a dependable rally pattern and improves her serve placement, she becomes exactly the kind of player seeded opponents dread drawing early in tournaments. Victoria Mboko is the type of athlete the modern WTA increasingly rewards. She moves explosively, hits with intent, and already looks physically capable of matching the tour's intensity. What makes her especially intriguing is that her strengths are expandable. Better decision-making could unlock massive gains quickly. In 2026, her biggest leap will likely come from learning when to pull the trigger and when to reset points. If that balance clicks, she's not just a prospect anymore. She's a genuine disruptor who can climb rankings fast. Amanda Anisimova remains one of the tour's great what-if stories. But that's precisely why 2026 is so compelling for her. At her best, her timing is elite. She takes the ball early, flattens it through the court, and makes even top defenders feel rushed. The challenge has never been talent. It's been continuity. If she stays healthy and builds rhythm over months rather than weeks, her game is absolutely capable of producing deep slam runs. Few players can change the temperature of a match as quickly as Anisimova when confidence is flowing. Emma Navarro doesn't overpower opponents, but she outlasts them mentally and tactically. And that's a skill that travels well across surfaces. She reads matches intelligently, adjusts patterns, and rarely gives away points cheaply. Heading into 2026, her next step is about finishing power. If she can generate a bit more from her serve and forehand, she stops needing extended rallies to win matches. That small shift could turn her from a difficult opponent into a consistent threat in the latter stages of big tournaments. Clara Tausson's game is built around clean, early ball striking, and when she's healthy, it's brutally effective. She takes time away, holds the baseline, and forces opponents into defensive positions quickly. What's held her back so far is consistency, both physically and rhythmically. If 2026 brings stability, her power profile is perfectly suited to modern hard courts and faster conditions. Players like Tausson often break through suddenly once confidence and fitness align, and she's right in that window. Every season produces one player who comes out of nowhere, and Janice Jen fits that profile. She has the kind of fearless approach that can surprise higher-ranked opponents, especially early in tournaments where pressure sits entirely on the other side of the net. For her, 2026 is about learning how to manage those moments, serving under nerves, returning with intent, and believing she belongs in those matches. One strong run can change everything, and players at this stage often snowball confidence faster than expected. When you look at this group together, 2026 doesn't feel like a year of slow transition. It feels like a collision. Established stars trying to extend their dominance, rising players pushing for space, and a few wildcards ready to flip draws upside down. That's usually when women's tennis is at its most unpredictable and its most entertaining. If you had to pick one player from this list to make a career-defining leap in 2026, who are you backing? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to follow up on sleeper picks or slam-specific predictions, we can go even deeper.